Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsani ila yawm ad-din. Wa ba'd. Okay, alhamdulillah, we are here today. I am Imam Fahim, aka the Imam of the Boom Bap, and we're here with our show that we've given it a couple of names. So I called my beautiful sisters here the Muslim Golden Girls, right? And so Miss Joanne is our golden girl for the day. I'm not sure if our other guests are going to be able to make it today, alhamdulillah. But all of those who are joining in and tuning in, we thank you for tuning in. Please share this on your platforms because we're looking as we're launching this particular segment, which is geared towards honoring our elders and giving them the voice. That we're looking for more elders to come on. So if you know any elder Muslims who is interested in telling their story or who has a story, which they all have a story, we're interested in hearing their story. We're interested in sharing their story with the world. And we would like them to come on this platform and share it with everyone, inshallah ta'ala. So please share this if you know any elders 65 and up. And, we would like to hear, there's plenty of wisdom, plenty of experiences, plenty of jewels, plenty of gems that we have to hear from our elders who sometimes, many times, and oftentimes are marginalized in our communities. And, as part of a natural order of things that when you get older, sometimes people tend to forget about you. And we don't want to forget our elders, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, whoever doesn't honor our elders and show mercy to our young, then he is not from us. So on the basis of that hadith, this is one of the purposes of the show, inshallah ta'ala. All right. So today's topic, we wanted to discuss briefly some of the challenges of being an elder. And Joanne, wa alaikum salam.
Okay, I'm trying to get it start. It started already on YouTube, but I'm trying to get it started on Facebook.
Okay. So should we keep going on?
You can. I'm gonna just let you know when I get started on Facebook.
Okay. All right. So our topic today, inshallah, and since our other guests weren't able to make it, we will have the show kind of short, inshallah. But we want to talk about the challenges of being an elder in the community, both the Muslim and the non-Muslim community. Many of us, as being converts to Islam, we still have a large portion of our family members who are non-Muslim. And then we also have, alhamdulillah, we have, many of us have generations of Muslims. Some of us are 3-4 generations in. Some of us are first, like myself, first generation. And then we also have second generations Muslims. And, so becoming an elder in Islam is something very unique, especially being a convert to Islam in America and as an African American. And then, for many of our elders, some of the different struggles that they had to go through and some of the different movements. Some of you, if you tuned in before, you heard our very own Miss Joanne tell us about her being involved in a very splintered deviant group for some time. And that's had an impact on her. And many of our elders have made those kind of transitions and had to make reformations. As many of you know, the history of our journey as Black people in America with Islam, there has been like the Nation of Islam, and then there was the community of Imam Wardi Muhammad, and then there was the Ansar Allahs, and then there's the Darul Islam movement, and many other movements that we've been subjected to. And many times we had to filter out the truth from falsehood. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us to come back to the true Sunni Islam, the traditional Islam that, we know historically has been here ever since Muslims have and Black folks have arrived on the shores of North America. And it was just hard to find, and it was just kind of, obscured for a while. But alhamdulillah, with people like our Imam Amin, and many other Imams who are, taking the banner of teaching the traditional Sunni Islam, that we are able to raise our voice again, alhamdulillah. All right. So, Miss Joanne, how you
Yes,
doing? Let the world know what's going on. How are you?
I'm doing fine for an old lady. I'm doing pretty good.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Oh, lady, where you owe that, Miss Joanne? We can't tell. All right. So, alhamdulillah. So, we're glad to have you again as weekly. So you're one of our weekly panelists, and we thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to be with us and to share your thoughts and to share your wisdom, and we greatly appreciate it. So today, inshallah, as we mentioned, it would be some of the challenges of being an elder. So I would just like to ask you, what are some of the challenges that you face as living a complete life, and now in your golden years, and having children and grandchildren, and things have changed significantly, and everything is not the same as before. Like what are your challenges of becoming an elder, and becoming older in years?
Well, one of the challenges is probably just being recognized, and seen, and also really listened to. I bring experience, but sometimes the younger ones, that's beyond their comprehension. But with experience also comes love and devotion, and wanting to see the family and everyone succeed, wanting to see the family live a good, Islamic life. My journey has been long. I've been on the trail now since 1991. However, my introduction to Islam was with a deviant cult. It was with the Ansars. I was able to recover from that, but even after that, I still was not able to find my way correctly. I know I've always been one to look for leadership. And even with Islam, I look for leadership and someone that I could identify to. I end up identifying with the Black Imams Round Table. Uh, with my journey, with my age, and I'm almost 72 and proud of it, I am finally learning my deen. I did not know it before. I am finally learning it at my age. It's a golden age, and I guess it's a golden age, to study and to learn. But I'm happy that I'm now finally learning the truth, finally learning how to live the correct way. What's is good. What is actually bad. I'm learning the correct way, and I'm eternally grateful. That I was able, to tune into the round table, to see. And it was what I wanted to hear. It was what I wanted to see. And I really wanted to see me. I wanted to see me and be able to identify with someone, that looks like me, that knows my experiences, that knows my challenges, and that could speak to my heart. The Black Table, Round Table spoke to me, spoke to my heart. So I'm at a place right now that I haven't been this happy in since 1991. So I'm at a place right now where I'm truly inspired and to work on and to press on and to be alike, that the younger ones, that could look up to and, really listen. Listen because I want the best for them. Uh, at my age now, sometimes, there might be a challenge, with health issues, but I'm pressing on even with that. But just being able to be recognized and know that I have something to say, knowing that I have something to contribute, to the younger generation as well to help them on their way because I want them to be able to live the life that I so desperately wanted to live before.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So just for clarity, Miss Joanne, so you entered to Ansar Call in 1991.
Yes.
Okay.
I did not live in the community. I never lived in the community, but I was part of their organization.
Okay. And
Yes.
so when your first encounter with them, like what was it that attracted you to it?
It was probably the blackness. That's what I was mostly attracted by. And at the time, it seemed to be, a very loving and caring, organization. And I thought that they would be the answer to the religious aspect that I was looking for. But I wanted to be able to identify with someone that could identify with me. Um, that I had a brief encounter also with the Nation of Islam. It was probably because of the same reason. I was looking to see me. I was looking to find leadership that looked like me and that could relate to me. With the Ansars, I did eventually see that it was not the truth. It was not the way. That was not the path that I should be taking.
Okay, so prior to those two experiences, was there any experience with any other kind of Islam or any connection?
No, prior to that, me and just about all of my family members were Christians.
Okay, mashallah.
Mhm.
All right, so now how many children? I think you mentioned it last week, but how many children and grandchildren you have, Miss Joanne?
I have two children. I have two sons. Farouk is one. Now he's Islamic. I have one son that is Buddhist, and I love him dearly too.
Hmm.
I have nine grandchildren, and I have a great grand that's due in our June. So I've been blessed. I've truly been blessed.
Okay, now have you ever heard this saying before? They said that sometimes the grandparents they love the grandchildren more than the children. Is that true?
That's true. That's true. That
Oh,
is so
really?
true.
So would
Yes.
would you say it's one of the challenges, or one of the uh, okay, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but having like you feel like sometimes when having grandchildren and you have a number of grandchildren that you have a second chance like to like do some things like redo some things that you weren't able to do with your sons. Would you say that's true?
That's true. That's true. And you do feel differently towards the grandkids. That you handle them differently too. Um, it's a lot of times people say, well, that's not the same lady that raised me. No, no, I'm not. I mean, because in raising them, there may have been some mistakes or some things that I wish that I had done differently. And with the grandkids, I'm given a second chance. Uh, I'm also probably a little more lenient with the grandkids than I was with my own. With my own, I was a little strict, but not quite so much with the grandkids. The grandkids, I am a little more lenient with them, but it also gives me an opportunity to correct the measures, that perhaps I know I didn't do correctly the first time.
Do you find now as growing up, I mean, I'm like your son's age, and I know at the top of my generation, we started to see a shift in like uh, connecting with our elders and respecting them. Like people weren't raised right. We started to see the family structure started to change, like in the early '70s, where that when I was born, where the fathers were removed, and a lot of government programs were coming into play, and it kind of disrupted the traditional family structure of man, woman, and child. You know, so do you see, and with that disruption, as an elder, as you've seen things play out, do you see the level of respect and honor um, that younger people have for elders? Has it changed drastically? And how does it impact you today as being an elder and seeing like younger people and when you engage them?
Mhm. It Things definitely have changed, particularly during the '70s. Uh, During my generation time, that the family structure was completely different. You had the mother and the father, or at least you had, someone represented. Usually, it may have been an uncle or grandparents, but you had that family structure, and you also had the whole neighborhood that was helping raise those children and to look after them. With the government stepping in the '70s and different programs were set up and all that, that really kind of destroyed our family of values for a lot of us. Once the father was removed and he could no longer be there, and that was done, legally, he was no longer there. He didn't play that role. They didn't get that, you know. The mother has a role in raising the kids, but the father also has a role in raising the kids. And when we miss out on that, we miss out on a lot. So a lot of the structure that would have been learned in the home was not. So a lot of the structure and things that they learned was out in the street instead. So we, when we lost our man or the father in the home, when we lost that, uh, we lost a lot. We lost control of our kids. Now, even back then, you could possibly go to jail for even trying to chastise or correct your children. I didn't have that problem because, I told them that I would call the police for them. But I do feel that because of a lot of changes that took place, particularly in the home, and particularly in our neighborhoods and our families, we lost a generation of kids. We lost a generation where they had no fathers or male figures, to look up to. And that was greatly needed in our neighborhoods. But we lost our family structure. We have to get back to the family structure. We have to began then, to recognize uh, and encourage, the fathers and the male mentors, to take a more active role in helping to raise our kids. Uh, there's a special role that the father or the male figure plays, with the sons. There's also a special and needed role that he plays uh, with the daughters. So that's needed, whether it's the father or another male figure or mentor for you. We definitely need that. And we need structure. We need structure and we need rules. And that you learn in the home or in the home environment. You learn first to also to respect. There's such thing as respect. During my time, the respect was number one. Uh, and that could come from my parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, whoever had that figure, I learned to respect. And it was passed on. Whereas now, you're very hesitant, even if you see a younger person going astray or going in the wrong direction. You're very hesitant to try to step to that person, to try and correct them or speak to them because you don't know, if they may take that the wrong way. Their parents who lost and didn't have that structure may also take it the wrong way. So we've got to go back, building the bond, building the trust between the generations because we did lose a generation of structure, nurturing, and love. But that has to come from both the mother and the father.
Alhamdulillah. Often I'm out and about sometimes in where I'm live. I'm in an urban area, and sometimes in observing the youth. I mean, I myself, or I've heard people say, like, um, because of sometimes of the aggressiveness of like young, especially young men in the street. I've heard a lot of older. I heard people my age are like, they say, "Man, I don't mess with them young boys. Them young dudes is crazy, and
Mhm.
stuff like that." And so I wanted to ask you, and that's from people from my generation. So I wanted to ask you, have you ever felt like that when you engage young people that they seem like too like unapproachable, or in the sense that made you feel like you couldn't talk to them, or did you ever feel like scared or intimidated, like to a point where you wouldn't speak to a young person?
Yes, yes. I felt that some of them were unapproachable. I felt that some, I really wasn't sure, how they would take it or how they would react to it. Uh, the young can't lead the young. Okay, you need that elder or you need that experience there, but because they didn't have the leadership, they didn't have that, so it's lacking. It's lacking. So there have been many occasions where you observe different things and you would really like to speak to that person, but you're just not sure, especially if you listen to the conversation and see how they're reacting or see how they're speaking if it's done in front of you, um, even as growing up, I may have said some bad things around people that were my equal, my age, but I would never have allowed an elder person, to hear me say anything wrong like that. Now it's like they really don't care. So if there's a lack of respect, it does make you wonder, is this person approachable, or should I take a chance, and try and speak with them?
Alhamdulillah. So, yeah, I know you're familiar with this. I remember growing up, and that there was always a cohesiveness of our family. Like you knew who your family were,
Mhm.
and we used to always have, these soul food Sunday kind of gatherings. And traditionally, black folk got together on Sunday and had big meals, and everybody got together at least once a week. You know, as an elder, do you think this is still important, even as Muslims? Because Friday is our day, but in America, it's the weekend. It's Saturday, Sunday, where most people are off. Do you still see as an elder that this tradition should be kind of like brought back? And do you see it in like your experiences with other people and other families?
I see it in different families. It could be done more. More attention should be brought to it because it gives us a time to come back together as a family. And the getting together of that meal, whether it's on Sunday or Friday or whenever on the weekend, because usually all during the week, we're usually working. But that particularly that one meal that we get together as a family for us to continue to do. It's a tradition that I found so amazing when I watched the movie one time. Remember the movie Soul Food? And it was the gathering of that meal that was so very important when the family came together to prepare and eat that meal. That's a tradition that I think should still be carried out. Of course, we need to teach our younger relatives, our younger ladies, how to cook. That's something that's very important. That's something that a lot of them have gotten away from. But it's a tradition that brings in the family together. It's a tradition that shows love. It's a tradition that helps, the families bond. So I do feel like the meal is still very important, and also the tradition of teaching the young ladies how to teach, how to gather their families, how to prepare and show love and bond together.
Okay, yeah, I didn't get kicked out. Nobody kicked me out of nowhere. Yeah, yeah. But one of the sisters is supposed to come on. She was trying to get on. She called me through Facebook, but I missed that last part. But as long as the listening audience was able to listen to it, we did our part. Like so. Um, just lost my train of thought. Yeah. So I remember when I was younger, and and I think we touched on this last week. Like I remember going to my grandmother's house, and you just did what you were told. I remember one of my grandmothers. She was I wouldn't say she was mean, but she was very disciplined. I mean, I remember where as a little kid, around 6 years old, you had to sit at the table and you couldn't get up until you finished everything on your plate.
Yeah.
And I remember I'm still kind of traumatized. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam to Allah.
Welcome, sis. How you doing?
I feel better, a little better today.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm still kind of traumatized about okra because I remember when I was little, my grandmother, uh, I didn't like the okra because it looked like snot, right? And I would not eat it. And I remember, I mean, I don't remember how long it was, but it seemed like an eternity. I was sitting at that table. All I know, everybody else was gone, and I was the only one there. But she would not let me get up until I ate the okra.
That's right.
Somehow or another, I know they had a dog, so I ended up feeding it to the dog.
Yeah.
Like, so I kind of waited her out, but I was so stubborn, But do you think that those kind of principles that we learned, yeah, and you couldn't get none to drink until after you ate the whole meal,
That's
and
right.
Do you think those kind of principles are missing nowadays? And if so, yeah, I mean they are kind of missing because nowadays, you have families where everybody is eating DoorDash, and everybody ordering their own stuff or eating at different times or not eating at the table. Do you think that it's possible to bring those kind of principles back?
Sound like
Well, like
you have to
Salam.
start. You can't just put it out there now. I think you have to start from the beginning. You have to start, while they're still young, so they can become embedded in them. We had to do the same thing when we were growing up. However, we were taught, like, if we didn't like something, like my brothers would give me their meat and I would give them my, no, they would give me their vegetables and I would give them my meat. I didn't like meat and they didn't like vegetables. However, it didn't work when we had to just sit there until we ate it, because I would be sitting there forever. But I love vegetables. I love okra. So I don't think you can start now. They're 14 and 15 years old. I think the parents have to start now, start from when they're younger, when you can instill those things in them. But I think it's late. It's kind of late in the game if you start now. They're 14 and 15 years old and they're already doing their own thing. I don't think it'll work unless you have both the mother and the father in the house and you can start changing some things around. But if it's just one parent, it'll be kind of difficult to do. But they still need to come back. It still needs to be instilled in the household because there's more order. Everybody sit down and find out how each other's day was. You can find out more information, from each other if we're all together sitting down at the table. I believe it can still work, but it has to be instilled at a very young age. Like I said, unless the mother and the father are in the household and you could bring order back into the household. You understand what I'm saying? But I don't believe a one parent household can start when the child is 14 and 15 years old and try to instill these things unless it becomes consistent. It has to be really, really consistent, because if it's not, I don't believe it'll work. But it can. It can. It can. I'm not saying that it can't, but it can work. But start at a young age and you could bring it back.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Miss Joanne?
Well, it's definitely something that should be consistent. Uh, it can be brought back. I would be insistent that they sit in the night with me. And even sometimes when there's a mother and a father, depending on the work schedule, it might be an occasion, with one of the jobs, maybe the father or the mother is not able to be there at the meal time. But it still should be a practice, that's done quite often, so they get into the habit of that. It should be a part of the routine. It has to be a part of the routine. It has to be like getting up, in the morning, brushing your teeth and washing your face. This is part of our life. This will be part of our tradition. Um, and with me, you're not going anywhere. You're not doing anything, unless I say so or give the approval. And you're definitely not doing anything until this part of your life is taken care of. But it does take something that's done consistently. But I feel that it can be done. Um, Sometimes there might even be an occasion where you have to end up taking over the care, of a child that's a teenager. You've missed all of the very young years. So now you've got to try and mold and love this child to this method of living, to the, traditions. But it does take time. It does take care and it does take love. But it's something that, yes, has to be practiced. But they can learn that this is the way, that we should conduct ourselves. And this is the way that we show caring and loving in our families.
And can I add another thing? Assalamu alaikum. I don't think a child, once they've tasted something, I don't think a child should be forced to eat something that they don't like. Because if we don't like something, we're not going to eat it. And I think that's cruel and unusual punishment to make a child sit there at a table for however long the duration and eat something that they don't like. Why should be somebody be forced to eat something they don't like? Like I said, we're not going to eat nothing we don't like. So that part I don't believe in.
So Sister Kalima, you calling my grandmother cruel because she made me sit at the table? You talking about my grandma?
My mom did the same thing, but trust me, if I didn't eat something, it got wrapped in a napkin and thrown in the trash. We didn't have animals to get to, so we weren't allowed to have pets and stuff. So it would get wrapped in a napkin and get thrown in the trash or get in my pocket until I could get to the trash and throw it away. I think they thought they were doing the right thing, but that's cruel and unusual punishment to make us sit and eat something that we don't like. Right? You didn't eat it, did you?
Yeah, well, I gave it to the dog, but you know what now? I love okra.
So do I. I loved it from the door.
Oh, yeah.
I love vegetables.
Yeah. I got another question. Some experiences I've had with the elders and serving them, I know that they like to remain fiercely independent. Some instances, and this generation of elders, they are people who are hardworking their whole lives, and some of them you find them in their late 70s, 80s, still going strong. I had one of my teachers that passed away, Sheikh Al-Subhan Rahimahullah. He was in his late 80s, and one time we reached out to him. He drove to Canada by himself in his late 80s. So I know that generation came from a very a good work ethic, and but as we're getting older, and of course that time slows us down, and we're limited in some things, and health starts to decline, and ability. So how do you feel about where do you draw the line between maintaining your independence as elder and being what's the word I'm looking for? Knowing that you may need some assistance, and how do you deal with that?
Well, I want to remain independent. I've been independent, just about all my life. I worked on one job for 32 years. And now, at this stage in my life, I really want to enjoy. Now is the time to enjoy my golden years. I don't want to decide, when I'm 90, that now I want to travel, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. I want to remain independent. And as long as I'm able to do for myself, I want to do that. Um, if there ever becomes a time, where I'm in need of assistance, I'll be the first, to ask for it. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. I don't see the need to ask for help for something that I can do myself. And I want to enjoy life. And part of that enjoyment is doing for, being able to do for myself, being able to enjoy the joys of life. So I want to remain independent. I really don't feel the need, or neither do I want to have someone there to do everything for me. I want to be able to do. I want to be able to enjoy joys of life while I can.
Now, do you see yourself before Sister Kalima answers the same question? Do you see yourself as being getting older, being one of those feisty elder people? Like, don't touch me, I can do it myself. And you know, daggone well you can't do it yourself.
Well, I'm 68. My mom will be 98 in 2 months.
Allahu Akbar.
My mother is still. She's never driven. She never drove a car. However, my mom is the type of person that's very, very independent. She shouldn't be going up and down those steps, but we can't tell her anything. She says when I try to help her do certain things, If I need your help, I'll let you know. You
Go,
know, we
mom.
even got her a bed to put downstairs so she wouldn't have to keep climbing those steps. She slept in that bed one time. And when she was diagnosed with cancer at the age of 85, she has a colostomy bag. And for almost 2 years, I had to change it. But she learned how to do it herself, and she does it herself. And she still bakes cakes from scratch. She still cooks, but we have to be there in that house because she has a tendency to turn the fire up and leave it up or forget to turn it off, and things burn sometimes. So I'll tell my sister, because she lives with her, if mommy wants to cook, you have to be mindful that mommy forgets to turn the fire off, or she'll have it too high and her food burns. So we have to watch her around that stove. But she still makes her cakes from scratch. You know, she still washes stuff out by hand in the sink. Her scrub board broke. We thought that would stop her. Heck no. She still does what she can do on her own. And she won't let us help her. She'll get angry. Said, if I can still do this, if I need your help, I know how to ask for it. So we just let her go ahead.
That must be a beautiful sight for us to hear that story. But I know for you, it's probably like, come on, mom.
Right. Because it's frustrating, because some things, it's like one day she was trying to do something and she told me not to tell my siblings, but she had fell. But thank God the coffee table was there, because she fell across the coffee table onto the couch. And she asked me not to tell them. But I told them anyway. I said, Mom, you can't keep nothing like that a secret, because you already know what they're going to say. But it's only but so much we can do, because she insists. So we're not going to disrespect her and do the things that she still knows how to do and try to take that from her. We still let her have some of her independence. My
Alhamdulillah.
phone is
There
dying, so I'm going up the steps. I'm going up the
okay.
elevator to plug in my phone. I'll
Okay. Well, we'll know what happened right there. She just died. You
because
just
it's on the red.
okay. There was a question there until Sister Kalima comes back on. Oh, she's still on. It's freezing. But there was a question that was asked by your beloved son, Miss Joanne Farouk. What is our elders' opinion on parents being friends with their children? And that, yeah, and so I guess to add on to the question, how has that changed from when you were a young parent and as you see it now as an elder? Uh, you see this a lot where parents are kind of being friends with their children, oftentimes, overcompensating them, afraid to discipline them, and just really kind of conceding to all of the kids' whims and wishes.
Right. The rule for me has always been the same. We're not friends. I am not your friend. I'm your mother. I am not your friend. And your opinion on the decisions I make, it really doesn't matter. It's what I say that goes. I am not your friend. I'm your mother, and I love you dearly. And I would give my life for you. But we are not friends, and you're not going to treat me that way, and neither will you speak to me that way. You're not going to handle me as if we're friends, because we're not. We're not. We're on two different platforms. And that's the way that it's always been with me and my sons. Uh, I do have to admit, though, that I'm not quite as strict with the grandkids, uh, but that's because they're the grandkids. But even with them, though, there's a line that's drawn. We're not friends either. So yes, I draw a line. No, we're not friends. If there's something and decisions have to be made, we don't have to discuss it any further. It's what I said. Because we are not.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Sister Kalima, you want to take that question?
Well, the question, as far as us being reared, it was favoritism, as far as my mom, rearing us. My brothers were able to do, especially my brothers, they could do basically, and say what they wanted. I wasn't allowed to express myself. I got smacked in my mouth, if I would ask a certain question. But anywho, my sister, my mom catered more to her. We only 11 months apart. It was more like I was the one that was disciplined the most. And I asked my mom one day, and she said because she felt as though I was the stronger one. And oh, I forgot how she put it. But anywho, with me, it's different as far as my children are concerned because of the lifestyle that I lived. I didn't have a relationship basically with my children because I was in the streets. I was on drugs. I didn't do the things that a mother was supposed to do with her children. And so now my sons are deceased. However, my two daughters, my oldest daughter is 51, and she now she has a whole lot of respect for me, and she appreciates me to a certain extent. My other daughter is like a wishy-washy. It's nothing that I can tell her. It's nothing that I can do. She's grown. She has her own family. So I really can't even like speak much on that because I didn't arise to I was given a I was given an assignment by law and I was unable to fulfill that assignment. So I shouldn't even really speak on this question because I can't answer it.
No,
I
that,
really can't.
no, but that was an answer. That was a good answer. I think your mom was on to something because look now, you're the one that's regulating, helping her in her elder age.
Hmm.
Mashallah.
I would
Alhamdulillah.
do anything for my mom. Even to this day, I do not curse around my mother. My siblings, they could be having a conversation, talk to my mom. They talk to my mom like they're talking to one of their friends. I can't do that. That's just something in me, and I'm not talking about them and what they do, but to me that's disrespect, and I'll never disrespect my mother. Never, ever.
Alhamdulillah. Um, there's another question here. It says, "What does 'I am your mother' mean to you, and what are the dynamics like in your opinion?" So I guess in context, when mother tell you, "I'm your mother," and what goes behind that. So, what does that mean to you? We'll start with you, Miss Joanne.
Well, if I tell you I'm the mother, then what I'm doing is positioning myself so you understand that we are not friends, we are not equals. And if it gets down to me saying, that I'm your mother and that's what I'm telling you, then that means then you do according to what I request or what I tell you to do. I request what I tell you to do. But with that comes love because it's out of love that I tell you something. It had to be a whole lot of love for me to say, because I'm your mother. This is why the decision is being made. This is why I'm telling you this. This is why I'm telling you that. Because I'm your mother. And as your mother, this is the love that I have for you. And this is why I want you to do that. We're not friends. We're not going to discuss it. It's because I'm your mother that I'm telling you to do this. It's because I'm your mother that you know that I will not give you advice, that would go against you. It's because I'm your mother that you know that because of that love, I'm looking out for your best days out there. I'm looking out for you. The people in the street or any other people you may know or that you're associated with may not have your best interests at heart. But because I am your mother and that deep love is there, you know that this is where I'm coming from. This is my position. And my position is because I am your mother and I have that great love for you.
Okay, Sister Kalima, the same question to you.
I can't answer that. Imam, I wasn't a mother. I was a I was given that title because I born my children. However, I was an absentee mother. I can I it's hard. It's hard. It's hard for me to answer that because
Okay, that's
they
respect.
had no respect. They had no respect for me when I tried to, come in the times uh when I went away to get myself together, and because of the lack of respect, um because of how I would feel about myself and the respect that I wasn't given, I just went right back out there again. So it I wasn't there for them. So
Okay, mashallah. If it's too much, don't you don't have to answer it. Um, there was another question, yeah, because any of the listening audience before we get ready to conclude in about uh another 12 minutes, 14 minutes, please post your questions. But I want to say, just to give you something, as you know, with age, there comes maturity, there comes wisdom. There's some things that you learned along the way, and that as an elder, let me give you a scenario. You online, you see a young mother. She has children. She has good potential, but she's promoting herself in a way that just reads, you know, I'm an object. I'm a sexual object. I'm for the taking. I'm on TikTok. I'm shaking myself. I'm revealing all of my private parts to the world. What advice as an elder would you give to a young woman like that, a young mother?
Well, the advice that I would give is that she should value herself. She needs to stop and take a good look at herself and realize, the jewel that she is. And a jewel just doesn't just give it all away or just show it everywhere. Uh, that she should be looked up to and respected. And if it's respect that she wants, not just admiration of someone looking at her, but respect that she wants as well, then she has to carry herself in that manner. Um, it's, it's something, that it can't be preached to them. You can try, discussing it with them and try and showing them, what is the right way and why what she's doing is not good. It will not benefit her. And try and show her, a different way, to look at life and to look at things. Because in their uh, childhood, well, still childhood, they make mistakes, their judgment and errors, but try to be there, not to browbash her or anything, but just to try and show her and reason with her, to show her the correct way and to have that respect. Respect is very high, very high. And of course, she has to love herself and respect herself in order that others will do the same for her.
Okay, Sister Kalina, you want to take that one too as well?
because
Also, I don't know if you saw this comment, Sister Kalina, but Sister said you've grown so strong from your experiences by the grace of Allah who's upon with the Allah. So we really do appreciate you. I know it's a lot, and if it's too difficult, then just you don't have to continue. But we do these. This is therapeutic for all of us, inshallah. We hope you see it that way as well.
alhamdulillah,
Would you like to
because it
take? Huh?
because it may not have been shown to her as a woman, and because of the things she may see advertised, and see that, other females may be getting kudos or what have you. That is not the way she wants to carry herself. I will let her know that that is not what a woman does, especially if she has children. She wants to teach her children, the right path to go down and to learn. And she doesn't know, like, we are there, for her to reach out to show her this is how you are supposed to carry yourself as a lady. You will get more respect, you know, um, dressing modestly, not shaking your behind. As a child, at one time, it may have been cute, but it's not cute now. I remember my father sending me to charm school. My dad really wanted me to be a lady, you know. But it's not. You will have men on you like dogs, out there shaking your behind and dressing half naked, you know. I would rather nobody say anything to me, and if I had to, oh, how would I put it? If it meant me, dressing modestly and carrying myself like a lady and nobody, stepping to me and talking to me and appreciating me, then I would rather be by myself than to carry myself in a way where later on down the line, I'm going to be disrespected. I'm not going to have any type of respect from anybody at all, and I wouldn't even know how to respect myself. I would rather be by myself than to carry myself like that. I would try to love on her, and show her books, about queens and princesses, back in that era where they loved and cared about themselves. Just because you primp in the mirror doesn't mean you're vain. You want to make sure that you go out into the world or into the workplace or wherever it is you have to go. You want to carry yourself in a way where nobody is going to whistle at you going down the street and calling you a bitch. You're not that. A lot of people don't even know what a bitch is. That's a pregnant dog, and that you're not. So it really hurts me, and it angers me when I see the females that's out there, and they're embracing, that kind of response that they're getting, from the opposite sex. And it's not cool. And it's like me, myself, I want to turn around and be in everybody's business and tell them, that's not how you treat a lady. But if they're not carrying themselves as one, then that's what we expect. So I wish I could snatch them up and tell them, and teach them how to carry themselves as women, as ladies. Even though, I may not have been taught a lot of things, but I know better. I know better now. So I can't continue to use that as an excuse. I know better. So when you know better, you do better. So they may not know. So I wish I could reach out, to them and help them. You understand what I'm saying? Are we lost?
I'm here.
Okay. You know what, growing up, I didn't like wearing short skirts and tight pants and stuff like that. I always felt self-conscious, but that's just for me. I always wanted to be a lady, but when you when you bypass, knowing better, and having the opportunity to do better, when you bypass that and still, some of the things still fall under that umbrella where you're not, you know, being a lady. It has more to do with, just the way you dress. It goes beyond that as well. Your speech, your language, how you present yourself. And I wasn't always a lady. I didn't always present myself as one. I wasn't always modest, so it was always more or less for me the outside appearance. But we have to let these young ladies know that it goes beyond, it also goes beyond the outside, appearance. It's how we feel about ourselves on the inside as well.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. Where our brother Imam go?
I think we lost.
We lost him.
Yes.
And we just lost you too.
Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
It's okay. Imam Fahim looked like he was kicked out.
Okay.
That's what we were just discussing. Like, yeah. Who are we speaking to?
This is Khadija. I'm filling in for Sister Fatima since she is feeling sick.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Khadija.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
I was just talking to Sister Fatima because I forgot how to log on. But yeah, she didn't look too well. And I said, please go lay down, sister.
Do you guys want to still continue answering questions?
No, I think he said that we were just about at the end.
We had 12. Well, about 5
Yeah.
minutes ago, we had 12 minutes left.
Yeah, we have a few more questions before we end.
Okay. Oh, is that him?
Mm-hmm.
Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikum assalam tullah.
Oh man, my apologies, man. I missed a whole bunch of
Not
stuff.
your fault.
Okay.
Technology.
Okay. Look like I missed some great stuff. We are coming to the end of the covered any of those other questions.
Say it again.
Did we cover those questions? We had one. What was this one? What do you think are the community's responsibilities towards the children and the parents?
Well, in my mind, it's hard to approach this time and age. It's hard to approach, the parents. If you say anything about, I guess we just have to watch. We have to pick and choose what we say. Because a lot of parents, because of their insecurities, won't even allow us to say anything to them, let alone their children. They look at it as an attack on them as a parent. If we say something to one of their children that we might deem as disrespectful, or what they should be doing or what they shouldn't be doing, and the parents look at it as an attack on them as a parent, it's difficult, man. When they say it takes a village, it's difficult. The parents have to be open to us even chastising or saying anything to their children, because the mothers are running up to the schools wanting to fight the teachers and this and that. It's hard. It's hard.
Okay, Miss Joanne.
Well, it is very difficult. I guess we could begin, with the parents, that are of the Muslim faith. If we could reach out more to them, so that they could work more, with their kids. Also, if we have extended family members, we even have some, that may not even be Muslim, but sometimes, you can make a crack in the door, but just by living by example, sometimes, we're able to crack the door to be able, to engage them in conversations, but we have to try, at least put forth the effort to at least try to reach out. And you'd be surprised, who you may pull in with you, even in that attempt. But we have to try, because without that, we don't have anything. We no longer have the structure, so sometimes, we take a chance, and we go ahead and we try speaking, to that parent, to see if there is, just a little bit of room, left for reasoning, because we have to try.
I agree, Miss Joanne. I do.
Okay, we got one more question before we start to wrap it up. The question is, what is the greatest mistake you see young parents make?
greatest mistake. Bringing their friends into their household and partying around their children and smoking and drinking and doing all kinds of things and smoking weed. I've seen it with my own eyes, and I'm like, come on, man. It's like, if you're going to do things like that, put your children to bed and shut the door. And, I can't tell you who to have in your house, but I've seen it with my very own eyes. So it's not just something I'm making up, and with my own family members. um the friends come in there and they're drinking and they're smoking cigarettes, let alone weed. They doing all that, and they have newborn babies in the household, and they're doing things like that. And that's one of the mistakes that they're making, having all kinds of people around their children. And even though they may be upstairs, but it's like, if you're not paying attention, an adult man can sneak up the steps and be in there with your little child. Things like that, having all kinds of people in your household, you know not feeding your children um on time, and just putting something in the microwave and calling that a meal, not sitting there and spending time with your children, helping them with their homework and things like that. I see a whole lot of mistakes, being made. I see a whole lot of stuff that wasn't done to us, even, as children growing up, you know. So it's a whole lot of stuff that needs to be addressed. It really needs to be addressed, because what they're doing now, because they may buy them the best of clothes and whatever the case may be, they may buy them the best sneaks or whatever, but if they're not being attentive to your children, and all they thinking about, oh, it's Friday and it's party time, and the kids are in the way. That's the way I'm looking at it. They feel like the kids are in the way, and it's all about them and entertaining their friends. So that's the mistakes that's being made, allowing those children to see the things that they're doing. And then the children, of when they speak out of the contents of being a child, some of the adults laugh at that and they think it's cute. And when the child continues to do it, then they want to chastise them, and punish them, because you ain't supposed to be saying that, but you allowed it from the gate. You allowed it. But now they're getting to a certain age where you feel as though you're being disrespected. Now you want to chastise them. Now you want to tell them, oh, that's not cute, but it was cute to you at one time. It's a whole lot of things that need to be addressed. And that's one of the things that the parents are doing that's not cool.
Okay, Miss
And,
Joanne.
and I think that at a younger age, it should be established between the parents and the kids who's in charge. It
Mm-hmm.
needs to be done at a younger age so that they know who's in charge and who's making the decisions. Also, like we said earlier, we're not friends, and this is the way that things are going. And this can be done through love. This can be done through love, but they have to know who's in charge. I'm the parent. You're the child. Uh, Also, even if they're, say, teenage years, by that time it should have been established who's in charge. Physically, no, I can't beat you, but you do know that I will, if I have to lay hands on you or handle you. You know that because you've been taught this coming up through the ages. At a particular age, there's to be, you might need to remove some of that bass out of your voice, when you're even answering me, because it shows a lack of disrespect. So that needs to be established. It may have to be reestablished, once they begin to smell themselves, as teenagers. But if they have to, you may have to take some of that bass out of your voice when you're speaking with me. But it has to be done also at a young age. You can't wait. You don't want to wait until, they're halfway grown and they
Mm-hmm.
think they're grown. Okay, so you might want to, start doing that just a little earlier. And remember too, that the way your children behave at home is the way that they will behave when they're out in the street or somewhere else.
Absolutely.
If they will embarrass you. So now that behavior that you think is cute at home is not cute when you're out in public, okay? But if that is the norm for them at home, that is what they're going to do when they're out. So it should be something that's, reinforced all the time. You don't want to be made embarrassed out in public, but it's something that we should do, like I said, with love. You don't have to beat a child to death or punish them to death. But out of love, they have to learn uh, who's in charge.
Alhamdulillah. Farouk, your son he said, Mama, you up next. Tell the truth and shame the devil.
He would know. I had to beat him a couple of times with the broom handle. So he would know. Tell that.
I bet you he ate those beans, didn't he?
Yes, he did. You can either eat them now for lunch or you'll sit there and eat them for dinner. Okay.
Oh, Miss Joanne, he said you got a grocery store story. You might take us on with that grocery store story.
He knew that I expected them to act a certain way whenever we were out in public. And in public, whenever I had to go to the grocery store or stores and all, they always accompanied me. And if he asked for something and I said no, or if there was a disagreement and I said no, he knew that he was going to get punished right there. Now, he would begin with a pinch to the arm and I would take him down to his knees. Okay? If I have to take you outside, buddy, it's going to be me and you. Now, we can both go to jail today or we can do it my way.
Miss Joanne, okay. I wish I could have seen that one. MashaAllah. Okay, alhamdulillah. So as we wrap up the show, any parting words of advice for the listening audience before we conclude?
Well, just continue to do things out of love for your children. It's out of love that you want them to behave a certain way. It's out of love, that you show them, the right way, and that we try and be a good example. Sometimes it comes across, as us being mean or strict. I thought I had some of my elders were the meanest people in the world. But once I became an adult and late in life, I realized now that it was out of love. And I'm thankful for that love. So we should continue to give love.
And one thing I wanted to add too to the listening audience, the younger audience, if you need help, please don't be afraid to ask for it. If you don't ask, we won't know that you need help. Don't act like you're supposed to know. Don't act like you're supposed to know. If you don't know, you don't know. But the best advice I have for you is to ask. We're here for you. So ask for the help. And what we don't know, hopefully we can send you to somebody that does without any judgments. I'm learning just as well as you are. Just because I may be older than you, that don't mean I know everything. So if I don't know something and you happen to ask me, I'm going to send you somebody that may know. We want to help you. We don't want this generation growing up like, not knowing which way to go, even though some of them are growing up like that now. We want to help. We want to be, we want to help guide your children. We want to help guide you guys. So please don't be afraid to ask for help. If you need it, please ask.
Okay, alhamdulillah. All right, so with that, we'll conclude. We thank you all for your time today, and we are honored to have you, our elders, express a lot of the things that I've said here. We thank the listening audience for the questions and engagement and discussion. This is very, very enlightening. And we ask, or as a request, I will ask some of the listening audience to please, if you know any elders, tell them to reach out to us. They can reach me by, they can reach me on Facebook on the inbox, and if you have my number, that we would like to, talk to them and see if we can get them on the show. And we have a lot of elders out there that we would like to hear their stories and their struggles and their wisdoms, and people need to hear it,
Yeah.
and we would like to get them on. And also, Miss Joanne and Sister Kalima, any sisters or brothers that you know, and I on my end, I'll be working on some elders that I think will be a good addition to the show or be good guests. Please reach out to them and invite them to the show, inshallah. And if they have any questions, we can meet them prior. We would definitely love to have more people on the show, because this stuff is very healing, it's very revealing, it's powerful. To hear our elders give us this kind of advice, and we appreciate it. And let me one more time, let me give y'all your flowers while y'all here, So, all right. Alhamdulillah. This is on behalf of everybody that's listening, all the 3453 family. And we appreciate you. We love you. And we thank you for taking this time. So inshallah, we'll conclude with that. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.